Hello, I'm Arjo. I'm currently based in Columbus, Ohio. My association with the Spotlight family and the South Asian Theatre Festival has been for the last couple of years, and I'm incredibly honored to present the next play. The title of the play is Dialogue of an Artist. It's an English play produced by Pouchon from Cincinnati, Ohio, inspired by The Genius, written by Horace Hawley in 1960 in New York. The script and direction, Taposh Ray. Music and background score, Tonnishtare. Videography and editing by Onushwa Bhattacharya. A middle-aged artist meets their young, innocent self and tries to dissect the path taken. Through the teenager's viewpoint, they find out that intelligence is all about connecting the dots and not necessarily distinguishing between them. The cast: the young self and teenage girl is played by Tonnishtare, and the artist is played by Taposh Ray. The duration of the play is 16 minutes. Enjoy.
A painting is just another way of keeping a diary. No, you have to remember that if you can say it in words, then there is no need to paint. Feelings that are hard to express in words, if not impossible, should find their way through painting.
Sir?
Do I know you? Good afternoon.
No, sir, but I'm very fond of your paintings. I'm an ardent follower of your writings, too.
Thank you. You don't live here, I guess.
No, sir, I live in Kolkata. I wish I did. It's beautiful here, isn't it?
It's very beautiful to me. I love it. But I love my Kolkata more. Uh, You may have come a long road this morning. Let's sit down.
Thank you. I'm not interfering with anything.
Not indeed, not indeed.
What is there to interfere? All we have is life, and this is a part of it.
I like to look at these paintings. They remind me of the Upanishad, or for that matter, the Old Testament.
That's interesting. How?
Well, maybe I'm wrong, but when I think of the Upanishad, I see a huge mural of an old man.
Really? And?
An old man who has lived it all through, you know? And he's found out something real about it. And he sits there calm and strong, with a fixed gaze and lips of steel. Every once in a while, someone comes along, a boy or a girl. And the girl talks to the man about herself, just as we imagine we'd like to talk with our fathers if they would have understood us, or our teachers if they didn't depend so much upon books. And the old man doesn't say much, but the girl goes away stronger and happier.
Yes, I understand. The Upanishad, it did get hold of things, didn't it?
What I can't understand is how nowadays people seem more grown up and confident than those ancient souls. In a way, and we do such wonderful things, skyscrapers and airplanes. Yet we aren't half as wonderful as they were in those times of Upanishad. Whether sacrificial fires, discovering stars, writing poetries, and discovering roots of what we know and don't know today. I feel sad when some of my friends laugh.
I wonder.
When I sit in my classroom, all I could think of is what could a fellow do who didn't fit in?
That's the first question. Certainly. Where are you? But where are you even if you carry on doing what others do?
Why? I'm with the rest. And they don't ask themselves that question.
I'm afraid they don't. It will be interesting if they should keep on asking, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'd like to be there when someone I know asks themselves that question. But they never will. Why should they?
Don't you mean how can they?
Yes, of course. But they don't ask the question because the big thing they're doing seems to be the answer. But it isn't. So we need to ask ourselves. That's why I came here, to look at your painting.
You want to know where you can go obeying norms, or where you will be without obeying them, right?
Where I'll be, I hate it here. What else is there to do?
Why? There is you!
But that's just it. What am I for if I can't join in? I came to you. You don't mind my talking, do you?
On the contrary.
Well, everybody I know is a part of it. So how could they tell me what to do outside of it? Then I found your book with the same picture on it. It was the first time in my life I had ever felt power as great as skyscrapers and railroads, and yet apart from them. Outside of all they mean. Like the Old Testament, those poems.
You like them?
It was more than that. How can a fellow like the ocean or a snowstorm?
Is that what you thought they were like?
Why? They went off like a fruit I have always seen in pictures but never eaten. It's all about regret for success. They were wonderful. I said to myself, I don't care if he does laugh at me. I'll go and ask him where all that power is. And so I came.
You must be of the same age I was when I used to think about writing and drawing. When I wanted above anything to write a book like that. And when such a book seemed the most impossible thing I could do. Like trying to swim the Atlantic or live forever.
It seemed impossible. I should think it was the most natural thing in the world for you. Like eating dinner.
That's the wonderful thing. Not the book, but eating dinner. Don't you think eating dinner is more important than writing books? But coming back to your topic, don't you think it's an equally wonderful experience just to write the book?
But who else could write it?
At your age, I thought anybody could. Anybody and everybody except myself.
Really?
Really and truly. You have no idea what a useless misfit I was.
But I read somewhere you had always been brilliant, even as a boy.
Unfortunately, yes. That was what made it so hard for me. Shall I tell you about it?
I wish you would.
Brilliance. I'll tell you what that was. At least for me. I wrote several things and painted several things that I thought brilliant, but people never thought so. Each brilliant thing I wrote, painted, I killed my body a little. I starved my nerves to feed my brain. And people thought I was miserable. And so I was. I was physically miserable. I cared only for my mind, grew only in that. And the rest of me withered like a stalk on soil. Well, few predicted about a brilliant future of me. I was crying inside. There was an honest streak somewhere within me which hated deception. I could not play play the part of a brilliant young poet with any success. Success implies that you write, paint, and more of the same thing, and I didn't want to. The difference between the great man I was supposed to be and the sick child began to torture. When I realized that I can never call myself brilliant, by doing the same thing, I grew desperate. I wrote about my incapability and fled. I came here.
Of course. Didn't people follow you? Didn't they bother you?
Not a bit. People preferred heroism. In a few months, I was completely forgotten. And then my salvation came.
Your salvation?
Hunger! That was my salvation. Simple, elemental, unescapable appetite. All the brilliance had faded away, and I was as simple as a blade of grass. For a year, I didn't write a word. You know, a man's life is a rhythm. Eating, sleeping, working, playing, loving, thinking, everything. And when we leave, so that each activity comes at right interval, we gain. When one interrupts the other, we lose. When I came here, I was alone. I could only hear the faintest of heartbeat within me. I listened to that. Then I learned physical hunger, then sleep, so on. It's incredible how stupid I was. I had to begin all over from the beginning, as I have never ever lived before.
That's what you meant in your poems about religion.
Exactly. I learned that God is the rhythm of man's personal nature. You know, in Hindu scriptures we call it Shur, and that evil is merely the confusion of the same forces I call Ashur. It was all marvelous. I couldn't help writing those poems. They are the natural joys of my ears in rhythm. And then I cared less and less about writing as living became fuller and natural. People write too much. They don't have to write if they have to make fire every morning, you know.
The first impulse, I see. Life might be so simple.
Why not? Why not? See, the animals have it. They have their times, but we make each other forget. If we could only be each other's reminders instead of forgetters.
Yes, but I see the only thing to do is to go away.
Not necessarily. I was merely a bad case. But it took me ages to know that true power lies not in outside, not inside. It cuts across everything. Do you see? It's a matter of man's own soul.
Then?
We can't live in a vacuum. The more you feel the force, the more you must act. The more you can act, in the long run, it doesn't matter what you do. If you do what your own instincts tell you to do.
Then I could stay right in the midst.
Yes. And if you're thinking of writing poetry, it might be even better to stay in the midst of it.
Have you ever fallen in love?
Why? You might have told from my poems how I believe in love.
I don't remember any love poems.
Bless your heart. Every one of my poems was a love poem. Not the old-fashioned kind, like fading roses and tender hearts. I sent this book out as a cry for a mate. It is charged with the fullness of love, That's why I could write about trees and storms.
I suppose if I had been older.
It isn't one's age, but one's need. Do you know Leonardo da Vinci wanted to paint himself as a woman and thus came Mona Lisa? I imagine myself as a girl and wonder whether I would write the same poems that I have written. Or how about you imagine yourself as a successful male poet? And it's time for a new story.
Most educated people think that intellect is a matter of making fine distinctions, of seeing as two separate points when the unintelligent would believe was one point. But that is not true. Intelligence might only be a matter of seeing the connection between two things so far apart that most people would think they were always separate.
Every language started as poetry and not as grammar. It started as poetry when every word was an original creation, and then it became philosophy, as people had to arrange speech with thought, and then science with more or less exact laws. And once a language is built, a poet starts writing poetry again, like a cycle.